Good afternoon and welcome. You're watching News Central TV. My name is Mazino Appeal. The headlines this afternoon. In a bid to support farmers in the state, Borno government subsidizes petrol to 600 naira per litre. And Ohanaeze Ndigbo expresses optimism about Nnamdi Kanu's release as President Tinubu visits Enugu State. Northern Ethiopia rocked by earthquake and volcanic eruption. Evacuations underway. Details coming up in a moment. Now let's begin by telling you that the Igbo socio-cultural organization Ohanaeze Ndigbo worldwide has expressed enthusiasm over President Bola Tinubu's scheduled visit to Enugu State. The group views the visit as a potential turning point in the federal government's relationship with the Igbo people. In a statement, Ohanese's National Publicity Secretary Alex Ogbonnaya commended the government's apparent shift in attitude, stressing the significance of equity and social justice in fostering national peace and unity. The group believes the visit provides the president with a vital opportunity to reaffirm his commitment to these principles. Ohanaeze also expressed optimism that the president will announce the release of Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, during his visit. Tinubu is expected to commission several projects executed by the Enugu State government as part of his one-day visit. To politics now. Suspended chairman of Owan West and Ovia South West local government areas, Dixon Ohonsi and Edosa Enowo Gomema, on Friday, defected from the People's Democratic Party to the ruling All Progressives Congress in Edo State. Ahonsi defected with 5 councillors, while Enowo with 8 of his councillors. Ahonsi was received by members of the state executive of the party in Benin, the state capital. He said his decision to join the APC was influenced by the steps taken so far by Governor Nnamdi Kanu to develop the state. Meanwhile, impeached chairman of Esa Central Local Government Area of Edo State, Paul Iyoha, has accused the state governor, Nnamdi Kanu, of orchestrating his impeachment. Yoha is the 5th LG chairman, allegedly, or rather already removed by the councillors of their respective councils. Recall that the chairman of Ego Owan East, Ehunwonde and Orion, and their vice chairman had previously been impeached. The opposition People's Democratic Party had also accused the ruling APC and Governor Okpebholo in particular of being behind what it called extermination of constitutional democracy in the state. Yoha, who faulted the process leading to his impeachment, noted that neither he nor other local government's chairmen in the state were given a fair hearing before being suspended by the State House of Assembly. Earlier, we were joined by legal practitioner Elvis Asia to help make sense of the development in Edo State.
Out is clearly a power play, political move by the state governor to take control of the government system in Edo State. You know that the 18 local governments in Edo State is occupied by chairmen of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. So the councillors. So the governor believes that in order to have political hold on the state, he needed to control the government system. I think that is one of the reasons for what we are seeing now. I think the most important silent one is that, of course, the governor wants to control the posts of local government. You know that the strategy by almost all the governors across the country has always been that the moment they come in, they dissolve the government councils, suspend, remove the chairman, appoint technical committees who are basically loyalists and people that are loyal to them. And with that kind of action, they're able to have unrestricted access to local government funds. But I think the hurdle that this present governor is having now is that with the decision of the Supreme Court that he must have democratically elected local government councils at all times to be entitled to allocation. So they're now, devising new strategies, to try to take control. They tried with the suspension, which was clearly unconstitutional, illegal, and has been so declared by the courts.
Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule has fired the secretary to the state government and announced the dissolution of his cabinet. He also relieved all personal aides of their duties. The governor announced this decision at a special emergency executive meeting, marking a significant change in the state's administration on Friday in Lafia. Sources close to the governor said the decision was long expected and disclosed that most disclosed that most of the sacked appointees may not be reconsidered to continue with the government. Now, following President Bola Tinubu's call to state governors to prioritize the development of their states and the well-being of citizens, residents of the Federal Capital Territory have expressed diverse views over the demand. Some spoke to News Central Television in Abuja, saying grassroots development is key to overcoming the nation's underdevelopment challenges. Our correspondent Joshua Marai has more on this report.
President Bola Tinubu's earlier call to state governors requesting the development of their states and a focus on improving the lives of citizens.
To all of you, the governors, we have no choice but do well. It's in your hand to build a proud nation. There should be no state that we go to and not able to be proud of development.
The statement has generated reactions among Nigerians, and some say through grassroots development indeed begins at state level.
President Tinubu is very right for making that statement. If I were to be him, I may even use cane to flog the governors. Yes, to go and develop their states and forget about the local government autonomy.
We started with 12 states during Owan. And by now, those first 12 states, they're up to 50 years old. Isn't it? They've taken allocation for good 50 years. If you have a son that took money for 50 years and is from your house, if it's not working, you tell him to go out and go and do something.
It's in a situation where these governors put their minds on federal allocation all the time. There are so many resources, so many things that are to be tapped in their various states that they will look away from. They will shortchange their people, they will shortchange the development of their own states, just because they know that at the end of the month, there's a Father Christmas in the center that will give them something.
But referring to governors, because they are the only one and thinks best channels for him to see his policy and his idea reach the grassroots.
Many say President Tinubu's message to Nigerian governors is timely, apt, and necessary for development. Some say if all governors put in the necessary effort to develop their state, Nigeria will experience a new phase of development. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Marai.
To further discuss this, I'm joined by Nnamdi Joseph. He's a public policy enthusiast. Nnamdi, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. Let me start by asking, so President Tinubu highlighted the critical role of state governors in driving Nigeria's prosperity, particularly in agriculture and also economic growth. But what policies or reforms do you think are necessary at the state level to support the federal government's goals for food security and economic development this year?
Thank you very much for that question. I'd like to say first that the President's comments reveal what everyone already understands, but is a subtle admittance of weak state capacity, institutional and political. When the President has to appeal to governors that, in quote, they have no choice, it suggests to people who are listening carefully that they've been exercising other choices, and he is appealing to them to focus on developing the state. As far as strategies are concerned, every state has something that they can do in terms of how they mobilize resources to strengthen the welfare of their people. You know, one of the most long-term approaches is legislative. where you work with your state houses of assembly to enact laws that create enabling environment for the investors that we have within the global financial ecosystem. If that collaboration is there, where laws meet up with political ambition, we can begin to attract investors. One of the other things that, we can definitely do in terms of how we deploy resources or mobilize resources for development is to outline priorities. What do we want to be as a state within this union, and how do we want to project that beyond the shores of Nigeria? If we begin to outline the areas of easy competitive advantage, we can now consolidate on these areas of easy competitive advantage. We can build laws, build infrastructure, and create markets, liaising or collaborating with the federal government to ensure that we take these our competitive advantages and create markets across our shores, strengthen our ability to earn forex, develop domestic capacity to, for instance, add value to the things that we are producing. I think that the steps that I have outlined are high level, they are long term, they're sophisticated, and they can create systems that can ensure that development is sustained in the long run. Thank you.
Now, Onyeka, the president has put in certain policies to make the country a better place economically. His recent reforms, such as the removal of fuel subsidies and also the unification of exchange rates, they've actually had a significant impact on Nigeria's economy. But how do you think, or how do you assess the effectiveness of these reforms, and what additional measures would you recommend to ensure that these changes lead to sustained economic growth?
I'll start with the fuel subsidy removal. A lot has been said about it, but there's a perspective that may have been missed, which is that, is it true that the issue was subsidy, or that the issue was rather the secrecy and the shadowy way that subsidy was administered in this country? And could it be, for instance, that removing subsidy the way it was a convenient way, because now there's really no need to shed the light on what may have been going on within that subsidy system? In terms of how effective it is, immediately the subsidy was removed, it gave government a longer runway in terms of finances to fund its operations. And you could immediately see that in what the appetite of the government of the day was. When all of that resources was freed up from subsidy, we began to see interesting expense issues like SUVs and residences and yachts and private jets, as against decoupling or shedding the light on the subsidy regime, removing the corruption that exists within that system, and then ensure that you are gradually phasing out the subsidy regime so that you give your people the best chance to do the best for themselves.
So in assessing all of this, Onyeka, are you saying that the president, that was not a good move, in summary? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, of course, it could have been far better. There could have been a number of integrated steps to manage the situation without plunging the population into the deep financial depression that they currently experience.
Because I have other questions regarding local government autonomy. I mean, it was a key point in President Tinubu's agenda for 2025. So how do you see the increased autonomy for local governments enhancing grassroots development? Does it work, do you think, or is that another mistake?
We have to be prepared for the unfortunate consequences that come with it because of the poor political capacity that we've built within the system. Remember that the local government area has been deprived of democracy, for a very long time. And now that it looks like it's going to be restored, they have to learn all over again how to engage with people. And in the period where they are learning, the people at the state level who have mastered state craftsmanship will definitely take advantage of that space of learning. However, over a period of time, we're going to learn. There's an assumption that we need to also carefully manage, which is that because the local government is ethnically homogeneous, largely speaking, that the people who are the leaders will have the interest of their people at heart. We are going to learn very quickly in the coming months that because your brother is in charge, it does not necessarily translate to development. And what we want are people that are visionary and have sympathy for their people. Thanks.
And President Tinubu emphasized collaboration. I beg your pardon. He emphasized collaboration between federal and state governments as vital for national progress. So, Anyekan, in your view, what are the most effective ways public policy enthusiasts and also experts can contribute to bridging gaps between the two levels of government to tackle Nigeria's most pressing challenges?
That's a massive question. In the last 26 odd years that we've been doing this business of democracy, what we would notice the most is that every time there is a law or a proposed bill that can significantly change the way we do governance in Nigeria, the state assemblies will step in because that's what the law has provided. So in terms of how states and federal governments can collaborate, one of the things that they can quickly do is to look at laws that can fundamentally change, that empowers local and state governors to do more for their people, as against the idea of an exclusive list, an exhaustive exclusive list, that someone in Abuja that knows nothing about the other 700 plus local government areas has to do. So in that way, the states, House of Assemblies, the governors, the National Assembly members, and the president can identify things that it can do to unbundle governance, which is where the idea of giving autonomy to the local government takes some credit. And there are other options that we can explore. What is exclusive that the federal government has taken control of, that the states and local governments can do, and we can walk around all of the physical issues around it financially, and we can see that Nigeria can be unleashed to be the titan and the giant it can be within the continent.
And I want to say thank you very much for your very cogitative responses, and be sure that we'll be coming back to you again for more on this area. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Many thanks.
Now let's go on a break, and when we get back, Borno State Governor subsidizes petrol to 600 naira per litre for farmers. Details when we return. Welcome back. Now, despite his recent ordeals, embattled lawyer and activist Dele Farotimi is said to still be in high spirits and dedicated to his perceived pursuit for national development. Peter Obi disclosed this in a tweet on Friday following his visit to Farotimi, who recently returned from a correctional facility in Ekiti State. The former governor of Anambra State and 2023 Labour Party presidential candidate, Peter Obi, expressed admiration for lawyer and activist Dele Farotimi, describing him as a symbol of courage in the face of adversity. Farotimi was released after being arrested on December 3rd by officers of the Ekiti State Police Command. The Delta State Police Commissioner Olufemi Abaniwanda has charged newly promoted police officers to discharge their duties effectively, saying that the reward for hard work is more work. Abaniwanda gave this charge at the Police Officers Mess State Headquarters, Asaba, when he decorated 100 newly promoted officers, comprising 1 newly promoted Deputy Commissioner of Police, 2 Assistant Commissioners of Police, and 97 officers across other ranks. While speaking on the success story of his men during the Yuletide season, Abaniwanda insisted that the command will adopt new strategies to combating crimes and criminalities in the state in the year 2025 across the 25 LGAs of the state.
The reward for hard work is more work. The IGP has enjoined all officers recently promote 30%. That is the strategic plan of the force. That is what we are working on, and hopefully we should be able to achieve this.
And I want to assure you, we are going to be more committed in every ramification.
More responsibility has also been added to us. We pray by the grace of God, God will give.
Many Nigerians have lamented the rising cost of goods and services during the Yuletide and its impact on the celebrations. While the significance and memories of the festive season remains in the hearts of many, the financial burden incurred, especially from the prices of foods, basic foods items, and also other things, remain fresh in their minds. News Central's Omolola Ololade visited a major market in Lagos to sample the opinion of buyers and sellers.
Nigerians celebrated the festivities amidst the rising cost of goods and services owing to the country's current economic crisis, a situation that forced many to adjust their holiday plans while scaling down on their celebrations. 2024 festive celebrations have brought the harsh realities into sharp focus as some Lagosians reflected on the soaring prices of essential commodities at the start of the new year.
It wasn't easy when I entered market for the first time during the Christmas period. It was tough for me to the extent that I can't be able to cope with the price in the market.
I've just entered into the market. I find out that things has already doubled than what I bought, festival period. So whenever you come to the market, when you see things, if it's one, buy it like two and keep it, because you cannot, know what will happen tomorrow.
While the hike in food prices are taking a significant toll on Nigerians, forcing many into financial strain, sellers are feeling the impact, facing declining sales and reduced customer turnout.
During festive period, people don't really come out like that. And the price is normal price. It's not that we add money to the price. It's normal price. So people don't come to buy it in bulk. They buy it little by little. They buy it how they can afford it.
Goosey before we buy 6,000, now it's 8,000. Ogbolo is like 30,000 for 35, now it's 50,000. That's how we buy now. The prices go up.
People are just buying small. It says it's not even be like, well, there's no money outside. So people are buying little. If you want to buy, you're supposed to buy plenty, buying small. So it's not like before.
However, stakeholders in the consumer goods sector explained some of the reasons responsible for the soaring prices, while hoping that 2025 will be a better year for manufacturers and consumers alike.
For companies that had localized their distribution chain, they were able to stay resilient. For companies that had really they had market control, were also able to stay at top of their game. But those in between had a tougher time, adjusting and readjusting, because they had to keep changing prices. And if you don't have distribution on lock and your prices are changing very quickly, you might lose the market actually. So every single manufacturer had to be on top of their game in 2024 because it was really a bumpy year.
As Nigerians continue to lament over the rising cost of living and navigate 2025, many hope that relevant stakeholders will take urgent policy actions to curb inflation and protect livelihoods. In Lagos for News Central, I am Omolola Ololade.
Now, agriculture remains one of the critical sectors with the potential to positively impact Nigeria's revenue drive and growth. Against this backdrop, stakeholders in the sector are calling on the federal government to channel more resources toward improving the sector for national development. In continuation of our 2024 sectorial review, our correspondent Chizoba takes a look at major policies of the federal government and their implementation geared at repositioning the agricultural sector and achieving food security in Nigeria.
Agriculture is an age-long practice and one of the backbones of every nation's economy, irrespective of region and climate. According to the Director General of the Nigerian Information Technology Development Agency, Kashifu Inuwa, the sector employs a significant number of Nigerians and accounted for 25.18% of Nigeria's GDP in 2023, resulting mainly from crop production, which is the largest, livestock, forestry, and fishing inclusive. The federal government in 2024 rolled out some policy measures and national programs to improve the agricultural sector and also boost food security across the 36 states of Nigeria. Among those policies and programs as stated by President Bola Tinubu on assumption of office in May 2023 are as follows: to support cultivation of 500,000 hectares of farmland and all year-round farming practice, for which the government approved 500 billion naira. Dry season farming and cultivation of hectares of wheat. Distribution of 2.15 million bags of fertilizers provided by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Strengthening of farmland security with additional resources for agro-rangers and other security agencies. Livestock production and animal health. This included the distribution of 14 million doses of vaccines for anthrax and foot and mouth diseases. Training and provision of inputs for smallholder poultry farmers. Agro-processing and value addition. On assumption of office on 16th August 2023, the current Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Abubakar Kyari, set out to implement these policies and programs of the federal government. How much result have these measures yielded in 2024?
We have so far ordered 4,000 tractors, and with 4 different implements to go with the tractor, from the harrow, from the ridger, from the plow and the trailer and the planters. So we have 2,000 from Belarus and 2,000 from John Deere, the American agriculture equipment maker. We've been engaging with the Office of the National Security Advisor on how we can achieve some of these lacunas that the security poses in terms of fertilizer. Yes, the soluble fertilizer is being smuggled and it's a bit expensive, but we are working on how we can regulate and see where we can have certified importers on the issue of using the drone technology. We haven't started using it, but I know a lot of people out there in the field are using it, and we believe that that's the way to go, especially in terms of pest control, in fertilization, in seeding, and planting of seeds. And drones are very, very efficient, and we'll be able to utilize that.
For some agricultural experts, more effort is needed in boosting food production and security in Nigeria.
The most problem we're having now is farmer-herders clash, because a lot of people you farm, and the herders will go and put their cattle inside there. So you are putting security everywhere, but you are not securing the farmers. You understand? We need them to improve on these agro-rangers. Most of our farms are in rural areas. We need government to intervene to, create roads where the farmer can have access to bring out the food or the crops from the farm.
The federal government, state government, in terms of intervention, they've tried a lot by supplying farm inputs like grains, fertilizer, and so many things to farmers. But the only bottlenecks, I'm telling you, these incentives did not go down to the real farmers. The political farmers have hijacked everything. And if you are not with them, you will not get this input. So if that place can be addressed, it will go well.
Farming has been done by drudgery. If you look at it, we are supposed to have moved beyond that to the mechanized agriculture, and we are not there. So we hope that the federal government and Plateau state government and the 36 state governments in the country will put farm mechanization as a priority, because what one machine can do, 10 people will do it maybe in 1 week, but this one can do it within some hours.
Security for farmers and storage facilities for agricultural produce is another area of concern for some others.
Insecurity is one major factor affecting food security in Nigeria. And I think government should do something about that. Yes, they have tried. They've improved on security in this country, especially in Plateau State. But I think they should do more so that these farmers can go back to their farms. And when they go back to their farms, we'll have more use and there will be food everywhere in the country.
The government is not doing enough because of the input, agricultural tools that need to get to the grassroots farmers is not enough. And the government needs to brace up so that we can meet up with the population growth in terms of food production.
To tap the full potential of the agricultural sector, it behoves government at all levels to take into account the views of stakeholders and walk the talk regarding the implementation of policy measures to revamp the sector. For News Central, Chizoba Anyonyi.
Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum has announced that the state government will subsidize the cost of petrol to 600 naira per litre for farmers in communities affected by Boko Haram insurgency. The statement on Saturday by the governor's senior special assistant on new media, Abdurrahman Bundi, said Zulum announced the subsidy on Friday evening during the flagged-off distribution of farm input to over 5,000 farmers displaced by Boko Haram insurgents in Bama town. He said a litre of petrol sold between 1,000 naira and 1,200 naira in Maiduguri will be subsidized to the farmers for 600 naira. This is aimed at alleviating the financial burdens faced by farmers in communities that have suffered economic and infrastructural destruction due to years of conflict. Coming up, M23 rebels captured key towns of Masi in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. We'll have the details shortly. Join us again. Welcome back. Now, the Borno State government has begun the assessment of deserted towns and villages in the state as part of its comprehensive plan to resettle displaced persons. The exercise involved a detailed review of security infrastructure and social services in areas ravaged by insurgency. News Central's Umaru Kirawa completes the report.
Jauro Gajere, a displaced person taking refuge in this camp, survives on this business, making 300 to 400 naira daily. Jauro wants to go back home after the years of displacement to commence his occupation, large-scale farming.
Kamlan naftar gijigi anmaya kuma a wasu kanar kuma da ta bana da inda bana zana mangalo don gawa da ma kuma da ta yimlan alhamdulillah gumna inda bana zana da rakan buso shaul sawala sanado a wanda duk so gaba kida kuma yesu chadda na rolo.
These are the only edifices in Abaram in the hinterland Bama local government area of Borno State. To tackle the prolonged displacement concerns, the Borno State government is expanding assessment of abandoned towns and villages to facilitate recovery and resettlement.
We started resettlement. You have seen Dara Jamal. We have been to Abaram yesterday, and inshallah, we hope to close one of the biggest IDP camps in Borno State, which is Bama IDP camp. And that will be a game changer, because it's no longer sustainable for us to continue to keep people at the IDP camps. You also have to take note that the Bama IDP camp was a secondary school before, called Government Girls Secondary School. Girl child education is very important. Non-governmental organizations have to take note that there is no going back. We must close these IDP camps and then ensure that people are resettled in a safe community in accordance with the Kampala Convention.
Construction work is still ongoing in Dara Jamal of Bama local government area of Borno State. And the government says it is committed to resettle all displaced persons back to their ancestral homes to pick up the pieces of their lives.
I want to commend the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for the funding that we have been receiving from the federal government. Despite the low value of Naira.
The Borno State government have emphasized the state's commitment to restoring normalcy as displaced persons keenly await return to safe and habitable communities. In Bama for News Central, Umuru Kirawa.
Now, Ghana's outgoing President Nana Akufo-Addo on Friday announced visa-free travel for all African passport holders from the start of this year, marking a step towards continental economic integration. Ghana joins Rwanda, Seychelles, Gambia and Benin in offering visa-free entry to African travelers. Ghana had previously allowed visa-free access to citizens of 26 African nations and visas on arrival for travelers from 25 others, while only 2 African countries, Eritrea and Morocco, required a visa before entry. The visa-free policy builds on Ghana's efforts to strengthen its international reputation, particularly through initiatives like the 2019 Year of Return, which celebrated the African diaspora and commemorated 400 years since the transatlantic slave trade.
To have approved visa-free travel to Ghana for all African passport holders with effect from the beginning of this year. This is the logical next step to the African Continental Free Trade Area and the workings of the largest trading bloc in the world. I'm happy to hand over a Ghana that is safe, secure, united, and firmly rooted in her attachment to democratic principles and respect for the rule of law. A nation that continues to shine as a beacon of peace and stability in an often troubled Africa and an uncertain world.
Now, a court in Niger has jailed Musa Chagari, a prominent civil society leader and vocal critic of the military-led government. Chagari was arrested on 3rd December upon returning from a trip abroad and charged with glorifying terrorism and undermining national security. The 55-year-old has been an outspoken opponent of the July 2023 military coup that ousted President Mohamed Bazoum. Chagari his organization, Alternative Citizen Spaces, has called for his immediate release, while human rights groups have condemned his arrest as part of a broader crackdown on dissent. Chagari has been imprisoned in a Filigre prison, notorious for detaining political dissidents. His phone and laptop were seized during his arrest. Organizations including Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch have urged authorities to release him immediately. Rwanda-backed M23 rebels have advanced closer to the key town of Masisi in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, capturing the nearby Katale area. This development is part of their ongoing offensive, which has displaced thousands and deepened the humanitarian crisis since 2021. The M23, a militia supported by neighboring Rwanda and its military, has seized significant territory in eastern DRC. Angola mediated peace talk between DRC President Felix Tshisekedi and Rwandan President Paul Kagame were abruptly cancelled mid-December due to disagreements over a proposed deal. The capture of Katale has forced local residents to flee towards Masisi Center. Masisi lies approximately 80 kilometers north of Goma, the North Kivu provincial capital. The conflict in eastern DRC has persisted for 30 years, driven by fighting between local and foreign armed groups vying for control of the region's mineral-rich resources. And a magnitude 5.5 earthquake struck northern Ethiopia, followed by a volcanic eruption after months of increased seismic activity. The quake occurred 55 kilometers northwest of Asbay, Teferi, with no injuries reported so far. The nearby volcano erupted at 5:30 a.m. local time, spewing lava and smoke. Local official Aden Bella confirmed the eruption, saying residents and cattle have been evacuated from the area. While the crater has ceased releasing smoke, lava continues to flow from the volcano. The region has experienced over 67 earthquakes since late September, causing significant damage to homes and infrastructure. According to local reports, more than 30 houses have collapsed. Still ahead, Mike Johnson sworn in as Speaker of United States House of Representatives following his re-election. We have the details shortly. Join us again. Now, Mike Johnson has been sworn in as Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives following his re-election. Now, in his address, Johnson underscored the importance of a bipartisan collaboration to tackle the nation's economic challenges, including 4 consecutive years of high inflation. He pledged to work alongside President Donald Trump to revitalize the economy, reaffirming his commitments to reducing the federal government's influence. Johnson aims to drastically cut back the size and scope of government while championing individual freedom, limited government, and fiscal responsibility. His re-election was endorsed by all but one member of the Republican majority.
After 4 years of high inflation, we have a big agenda. We have a lot to do, and we can do it in a bipartisan fashion. We can fight high inflation, and we must. We'll give relief to Americans, and we'll extend the Trump tax cuts. We'll defeat the harmful effects of inflation, and we'll make life affordable again for America's hardworking people. As leaders of a nation with vast natural resources that God has blessed us with, it is our duty to restore America's energy dominance, and that's what we'll do. And in coordination with President Trump and his administration, we are going to create a leaner, faster, and more efficient federal workforce. We need to do that. Our people do not deserve to be ruled by millions of bureaucrats they've never voted for, never met, and can never hold accountable.
Now sports. Title holders Al Ahly of Egypt surrendered a 27-match unbeaten record in the CAF Champions League after losing 1-0 away to Chabab Belouizdad of Algeria on Friday. The goal that delivered a shock Group C match day 4 result came in the first minute of added time when defender Naufel Keshef slammed a rebound into the roof of the net from close range. The opportunity to break the deadlock in a match of few scoring chances came when Ali goalkeeper Mohamed El-Shawari could only parry a shot from substitute Herdi Chabi. Ali last lost in March 2023, crashing 5-2 at Mamelodi Sundowns of South Africa in a group game. They have since won 19 matches, drawn 8, and lifted the trophy twice before falling to Shabab. And Real Madrid pulled off a dramatic 2-1 win over Valencia despite being reduced to 10 men. England's Jude Bellingham was the hero and villain, missing a penalty before scoring a 95th minute winner. Valencia, under new manager Carlos Coberan, led early after Hugo Duro capitalized on a rebound. Real missed a penalty and had Vinicius Jr. sent off, leaving them down to 10. But Luka Modric equalized late, and Bellingham secured victory after a defensive error. The match, postponed from November due to deadly floods in Valencia, now puts Real 2 points clear at the top of La Liga. Atletico Madrid, however, still have a game in hand. World number 6, Elena Rybakina, former coach Stefano Vukov, has been provisionally suspended by the WTA pending an investigation into alleged misconduct. The Croatian coach, who helped Rybakina win Wimbledon in 2022, denies any wrongdoing. Earlier this week, Babagana announced plans to retire, or rather rehire Vukov, but the WTA confirmed his suspension for breaching its code of conduct. While details remain unclear, concerns about his behavior toward Babagana have been raised in the past. The ban prevents Vukov from accessing player-only areas at WTA events. Former player Pam Shiva has been a vocal critic, using Babagana to seek a more respectful coach. Meanwhile, Babagana's trial partnership with Goran Ivancevic continues through the Australian Open. And that's all for today. For now, what do remember, before we go, let's let you know what we brought your way as major stories. In a bid to support farmers in the state, Borno government subsidizes petrol to 600 naira per litre. And Ohanaeze Ndigbo expresses optimism about Nnamdi Kanu's release as President Tinubu visits Enugu State. And we also told you that northern Ethiopia rocked by earthquake and volcanic eruption. Evacuations are underway. Now, do remember that you can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Able TV, and of course on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. My name is Mazino Appeal.